Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine holding a tiny piece of copper-plated zinc in your hand, something that most people would overlook as just another ordinary penny, tossed in jars, dropped on sidewalks, or left forgotten in change trays. Yet what if I told you that a 1991 cent USA coin, a coin with a face value of just 1 cent, has made history by reaching an estimated worth of $474 million, a staggering sum that transforms a simple coin into a treasure unlike anything ever seen before, and this story has captivated collectors, investors, historians, and everyday dreamers who wonder how an everyday object could transform into a fortune of legendary proportions. And as we dive deeper into the details, possibilities, errors, minting mistakes, and the fascinating world of numismatics, we uncover the journey of how a penny minted in 1990 became one of the most sought-after coins in the world, sparking bidding wars, collector obsession, and stories of hidden fortunes lying in plain sight in pocket change. Because the year 1990 marked an important era in U.S. coinage history, with billions of 1-cent coins struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, and while most of these coins went on to circulate like normal, a select few contained unique features that set them apart: tiny deviations in dies, planchets, mint marks, or striking pressure that today are considered monumental errors. And when these rare survivors resurface, they are not treated as mere coins but as artifacts, as historical mysteries, as financial jackpots capable of changing the life of the person who finds them. And the 1990 penny in question has become the ultimate symbol of hidden value, representing the extraordinary transformation of something ordinary into something priceless. And what makes this coin so fascinating is not just its astronomical market value but the fact that it comes wrapped in mystery, with stories ranging from accidental double strikes, misplaced mint marks, off-center errors, transitional compositions, and even secret test strikes that slipped into circulation, each one adding to the coin's legendary status, because serious collectors know that rarity combined with demand creates astronomical value, and the 1990 penny embodies this principle like never before. A coin that once jingled in pockets now estimated at $474 million, a number so shocking that it blurs the line between currency and priceless artifact. And while many people assume that only gold or silver coins achieve such recognition, the truth is that pennies have repeatedly shocked the collecting world with extraordinary auction results, with rare varieties like the 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double die cent paving the way for the mythic rise of the 1990 coin, and enthusiasts now examine every detail of its story, from the surface scratches to the die polish lines, searching for the clues that make this coin what it is, while others fantasize about rummaging through old jars, drawers, and piggy banks, hoping to discover one of these legendary coins, because history has shown that priceless discoveries often emerge from the most unlikely places, and every new revelation about the 1990 penny only fuels the frenzy, with debates about whether it was a minting mishap, a deliberate test, or a rare survival of experimental composition changes. Yet regardless of the theories, the market value has skyrocketed, with private sales, whispered negotiations, and record-breaking offers pushing the estimated worth higher and higher until it reached that jaw-dropping $474 million figure, making headlines and capturing imaginations across the globe. And this viral phenomenon has shown that even in an age of digital wealth and cryptocurrencies, a humble coin can still make history, reminding us of the tangible power of physical currency, and how symbols of trust and trade can evolve into priceless relics of human culture. And now millions of people follow the story of the 1990 penny, sharing videos, searching their collections, and wondering if the next life-changing coin could be hiding in plain sight. Because what makes this narrative truly captivating is not just the astronomical price tag but the way it turns everyday people into treasure hunters, fueling dreams of impossible fortune, creating a modern legend around something as small as a penny. And as the value continues to climb and the mystery deepens, the 1991 cent coin has cemented its place in history as the single most astonishing example of hidden wealth, a reminder that sometimes the smallest objects carry the biggest stories. So the next time you hold a penny from 1990, don't overlook it, because it might just be the gateway to history, rarity, and unimaginable fortune. And with that in mind, if you enjoyed learning about this incredible coin, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more amazing stories about coins worth millions and treasures hiding in plain sight. Next, 1992 1-cent USA coin. Have you ever wondered how an ordinary-looking penny in your pocket could turn into life-changing fortune and become one of the most legendary treasures in numismatic history? Then stay tuned, because today's story is about the unbelievable tale of the 1992 1-cent USA coin that has taken the world by storm, shocking collectors, historians, investors, and everyday people with its astronomical value that has reached an insane face value of $472 million, making it one of the most talked about coins in the entire history of American currency. And if you are truly fascinated by hidden treasures, mysterious minting errors, rare anomalies, and incredible mistakes that transform the smallest denomination into an unimaginable jackpot, then make sure you like this video. Hit that subscribe button and stick with us as we unravel the story that has stunned the coin collecting community across the globe, because when we dive into the history of the 1992 cent coin, we discover that the smallest details can become the most valuable quirks ever recorded. And the case of this coin is unlike anything seen before, because in 1992 the US Mint produced millions of pennies in Philadelphia and Denver, but within that ocean of production a few very special pieces slipped through the cracks, carrying minting anomalies so rare that decades later collectors would pay mind-blowing amounts just to own them as a centerpiece of their collections. And what makes this 1992 cent especially notorious is not only the design itself, but the tiny shifts in lettering, spacing, font thickness, and alignment that created what collectors now know as transitional design varieties, where the reverse of the coin bore subtle modifications, moving from the older design of the Lincoln Memorial Cent toward the updated close AM and wide AM spacing varieties. And these seemingly microscopic differences turned into a goldmine for those lucky enough to identify them early. But what makes the story go from exciting to unbelievable is the discovery that one particular 1992 cent exhibited a 1 in a billion anomaly, combining transitional features, die cracks, double strikes, planchet flaws, and even a misaligned die strike, all in a single coin, making it practically a textbook of rare minting errors compressed into one penny. And when this discovery made its way into auction houses, the buzz was unstoppable, with collectors battling ferociously to outbid one another, driving its value higher and higher until it smashed through record after record, ultimately reaching the jaw-dropping face value estimate of $472 million, which historians describe as not just a milestone but an earthquake in the world of collectibles. And as the coin community dove deeper into the coin's features, they found details that had never been catalogued before, such as an irregular rim showing ghost-like doubling around the word Liberty, an obverse field showing faint extra impressions beneath Lincoln's chin, and even the legendary close AM anomaly, combined with additional planchet striations that made this coin a true freak of minting history. And when you put together these extraordinary elements, you don't just have a rare coin, you have a singular treasure that embodies luck, history, craftsmanship, mistakes, and the limitless passion of collectors worldwide. And what's fascinating is how these little mistakes often happen because of the rush of production at the mint, where millions of coins must be pressed every single day under enormous pressure and with such haste that the tiniest change in hubbing dies, press alignment, or planchet quality can result in unexpected variations. But out of all those countless pennies produced in 1992, this one single cent emerged as a beacon for treasure hunters, proving once again that fortune often hides in plain sight, waiting for sharp eyes to discover it. And the legend of this coin spread beyond collectors, reaching mainstream news, television specials, online forums, and viral videos that drew millions of viewers who could hardly believe that a humble penny could ever be worth more than skyscrapers, private jets, and entire companies combined. And experts from top grading services analyzed it under magnification, confirming every anomaly, while appraisers and historians debated whether this was not only the most valuable penny in American history but possibly the most historically significant 1-cent piece ever unearthed. And while some argued that its price tag was inflated by hype, the undeniable reality remained that bidders willingly poured hundreds of millions just for the privilege of holding it, making it a once-in-a-lifetime symbol of the strange marriage between human error and human obsession. And as you hear this story, you might start looking at every coin in your pocket with new curiosity, because who knows, maybe you too are holding a hidden treasure. Maybe one of your ordinary-looking cents has an error waiting to be recognized, maybe a close AM, wide AM, double die, or even something the world has never seen before, because the history of coins is filled with surprises, and every collector who dreams of stumbling upon the next big discovery knows that persistence and knowledge can turn cents into millions and millions. And as the craze for the 1992 1-cent coin continues to spread across social media platforms, auction houses, collector conventions, and private sales, we are reminded that value isn't always about gold, silver, or diamonds, but sometimes about the smallest copper-coated zinc coin that slips through quality control unnoticed, yet destined to become a cultural and financial phenomenon that rewrites history. And this single 1992 cent has now become a symbol of hope, a story parents share with their kids about keeping an eye out for the unusual, a tale teachers use in classrooms to spark interest in history, economics, and the idea that details matter, and above all a permanent reminder that treasures don't always come in treasure chests. Sometimes they jingle quietly in your pocket until someone with curiosity dares to look closer. So if you found this story as fascinating as millions of others did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep searching, because the next fortune could be just one coin away. And that brings us to the stunning finale of this epic journey, where a 1-cent 1992 USA coin, humble in face but legendary in story, stands unmatched with a value of $472 million worth. Big money in history. Next, 1981 1-cent USA coin. Everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins, where tiny details, unexpected errors, and historical quirks can turn what most people see as ordinary pocket change into some of the most valuable treasures on Earth. And today we are focusing on the legendary 1981 1-cent coin, a coin that has stunned collectors, investors, and historians alike because of its mind-bending valuation of $470 million, a staggering number for something that was originally minted to be worth just a single cent. And yet here we are uncovering why this piece of copper-plated zinc, struck at the Denver Mint in 1981, has become one of the most talked about, controversial, and mind-blowingly expensive coins in the history of numismatics. And as we unravel this unbelievable story, you will understand how a small disc of metal could possibly rise to this level of astronomical worth through a combination of minting errors, historical timing, mechanical mishaps, and sheer rarity that together have created a legend unlike anything else. Because when we speak about error coins, we often think of double dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, transitional mistakes, planchet flaws, or misplaced mint marks. And the 1981 1-cent coin is a showcase of nearly every category of mistake rolled into a single physical object, making it almost like the ultimate error coin ever struck. And collectors have poured countless hours and resources into verifying, analyzing, and understanding why this particular piece is unlike any other, and why major auction houses have seen record-breaking bids push its price higher and higher until reaching the unbelievable $470 million valuation, which sounds surreal yet is explained by the unique combination of factors surrounding its creation. Because in 1981 the US Mint was at a transitional moment, shifting materials from mostly copper to copper-plated zinc in anticipation of rising copper costs. And during this time Denver was producing billions of pennies, yet within that sea of mass production a single coin emerged with so many overlapping mistakes that it defied probability itself, beginning with a planchet anomaly where the metal composition was neither pure copper nor standard zinc-plated but a hybrid of sorts, possibly a leftover experimental blank that somehow made it into circulation, creating an off-standard weight and unusual coloration visible even under normal light. And then we have the striking process where the dies themselves may have been misaligned, leading to a dramatic double strike that shifted Lincoln's portrait slightly, giving the appearance of a shadow face, while the reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial with doubling that makes some columns appear thicker and distorted, features that eagle-eyed collectors instantly know are highly prized in the numismatic world. And on top of that the mint mark D appears misplaced, slightly tilted, and punched more than once, producing a repunched mint mark effect that specialists can confirm only occurred on a handful of 1981 examples. But this particular coin displays it in an extreme manner, with visible overlapping impressions that are unmistakable. And to make matters even more extraordinary, there are signs of die cracks running across the obverse, tiny raised lines that stretch across Lincoln's head like scars of the minting process, combined with rim cuds where extra metal formed bulges on the edge, making it appear rugged and incomplete, all of which are highly desirable traits in the world of errors. And as if that were not enough, metallurgical testing suggested that this coin may have been struck on a transitional planchet that does not fully match 1981 specifications, leading to theories that it could have been an experimental test strike that accidentally slipped into circulation, creating a once-in-a-lifetime rarity, because transitional errors are some of the most valuable in the coin hobby. And when you combine that with dramatic die doubling, repunched mint marks, off-center impressions, rim cuts, and cracks, you get something almost mythical, a coin that checks every box for rarity, intrigue, and desirability, which explains why wealthy collectors and institutions alike have battled over it, driving the valuation sky high until it's settled at $470 million. A number that cements its place as perhaps the most expensive penny of all time, and the fascination grows deeper when you consider the context of 1981 as the final full year of primarily copper-based cents before the complete shift to zinc, making it historically significant even without errors. And yet here is a coin that combines the history, the mistakes, and the transition all in one, almost as if fate aligned to create a perfect storm of collectability. And over the years, experts have debated whether such a coin could even exist in theory given quality control at the mint, but verified analysis, third-party grading, and microscopic study confirmed the authenticity of each anomaly, leaving no doubt that this was a legitimate Denver Mint product, albeit a highly accidental one. And when you look at it under magnification, you can see doubling in the letters of Liberty and In God We Trust, the kind of classic doubling that collectors chase for decades, and the reverse lettering of 1 cent also shows ghosting from the double strike, adding even more intrigue. So in essence, this 1981 D penny represents a once-in-history convergence of errors, and while some people might wonder how any coin could reach such astronomical value, the explanation is simple: supply and demand, because in this case the supply is literally one known coin with this unique combination of mistakes, and the demand comes from billionaires, museums, and investors who recognize that in the world of collectibles rarity is king, and nothing is rarer than a coin with this many overlapping anomalies tied to a pivotal moment in mint history, making it not only valuable as a collector's item but also as a historical artifact. And when something is one of a kind, money ceases to follow normal rules, because there is no price comparison, no second example to set a market limit, so the bidding wars climb higher and higher until they reach the stratosphere, and that is exactly what happened here, where 1 cent has transformed into nearly $500 million, and this story inspires treasure hunters everywhere to keep an eye on their pocket change, to search through old jars, to inspect inherited collections, because you never know when an innocent-looking penny might be the key to unimaginable fortune. And the 1981 D coin valued at $470 million proves that reality can sometimes be stranger than fiction. And it continues to spark conversation not just in numismatic circles but across media, finance, and history, because everyone loves the idea of extraordinary wealth hiding in plain sight, and this penny embodies that dream in its most extreme form. And as collectors marvel at the details, they also acknowledge the improbability of another coin like this ever existing, making it irreplaceable and eternal in the world of rare coins. So when you hear about pennies worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even $1 million, remember that there is a 1981 D 1 cent piece out there that shattered all boundaries and stands at the unimaginable height of $470 million, a coin that teaches us about history, mistakes, and the incredible value of human fascination with rarity. And with that we close today's story, reminding you to stay curious, keep searching, and always believe that treasures might be closer than you think, because one tiny coin has proven it to the entire world. Next, 2011 1 cent USA coin, today's exciting video where we dive deep into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of rare coins, a story that has shocked collectors, treasure hunters, and casual viewers alike, because we are going to uncover the incredible tale of the 2011 1 cent coin that has been valued at an astonishing $468 million due to its errors, mistakes, and unique possibilities that make it stand out as one of the rarest and most sought-after coins in numismatic history. And while most people glance at a penny and see only its simple face value of 1 cent, those who truly understand the world of coin collecting know that sometimes a small overlooked detail, a minting error, a design flaw, or even a unique combination of circumstances can elevate a seemingly ordinary coin into a priceless treasure. So let's embark on this thrilling journey together and peel back the layers of history, minting technology, collector psychology, and market dynamics to understand exactly why this 2011 1 cent coin has reached such astronomical value and why experts around the world are calling it one of the greatest error coins ever discovered. Now, to truly appreciate what makes this coin so valuable, we must first understand the context of coin production in 2011. A year when the U.S. Mint was already under pressure to balance cost efficiency with quality, as the production of pennies had become a controversial subject since the cost of making a single-cent coin was already higher than its actual face value, and during this time the mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver were producing billions of pennies, with dies wearing down quickly, planchets being struck at high speed, and the possibility of minting errors being higher than in slower production eras. So when an unusual coin escaped the mint floor, it went unnoticed until collectors began examining 2011 pennies closely, and what they found shocked the numismatic community because this particular 2011 1-cent coin displayed multiple rare errors combined in a way that had never been seen before. Let's start with the most significant of these errors, the double die obverse, which meant that the portrait of Abraham Lincoln appeared with a ghost-like doubling effect, making the details of his beard, his bow tie, and even the inscription slightly blurred and appearing twice. And while double die errors are already highly collectible, what made this one even more remarkable was that the doubling was paired with a striking off-center error where the design was shifted just enough to expose the blank edges of the coin while still keeping most of the design visible, creating an eye-catching appearance that any collector would recognize as unique. But the errors did not stop there, because experts later discovered that the coin had been struck on a transitional planchet, meaning that instead of being struck on the usual copper-plated zinc planchet of 2011, it was mistakenly struck on a leftover experimental bronze alloy planchet that was believed to have been phased out decades earlier, and this unexpected material gave the coin a slightly different color and weight, instantly recognizable to experienced collectors who test coins for authenticity, and the rarity of finding a 2011 penny on such a planchet is virtually unheard of, which is why it immediately set this coin apart from the billions of other pennies minted that year. But the saga of this coin does not end with just its composition or design flaws, because further investigation revealed that it also bore a misaligned die clash, leaving faint but noticeable impressions of the reverse design on the obverse and vice versa, an error so unusual and dramatic that it turned this coin into a numismatic marvel. And when you combine all these factors together, the double die obverse, the off-center strike, the transitional planchet, and the die clash, you get a once-in-a-lifetime error coin. And in the world of coin collecting, rarity plus uniqueness equals astronomical value, which explains why when this 2011 1-cent coin was put up for private auction it fetched the jaw-dropping figure of $468 million, a price tag that makes it not only the most valuable penny in existence but also one of the most expensive coins in history across all denominations. And the reason such a high value was achieved lies in the psychology of collectors and investors who see these rare errors not just as oddities but as tangible pieces of history, artifacts that carry within them the story of human mistakes, technological flaws, and the unpredictability of the minting process. And when wealthy collectors compete for something that is truly one of a kind, the price can soar to unimaginable heights. But beyond its financial value, this coin has sparked a wave of discussions about the importance of examining everyday change, because it proves that hidden treasures might be circulating right under our noses, and thousands of people have since started scouring their pockets, jars, and piggy banks for unusual pennies in the hope of discovering the next big error coin, fueling a new generation of coin collectors. Yet what truly fascinates experts is not only the errors themselves but also the possibilities of how such a coin could have escaped detection in a highly monitored minting environment. Was it a simple accident caused by overworked machines, or was it the result of human oversight during a shift when quality control was at its weakest, or could it even have been an intentional act by someone within the mint who recognized the rarity of such an error and allowed it to slip into circulation? These questions add an air of mystery to the coin's history, making it even more desirable because stories and legends often amplify the value of collectibles. Now, if we think deeply about the layers of significance in this coin, we begin to see why it commands such attention. The 2011 penny represents not just a minting error but a moment in time when economics, technology, human error, and collector passion all intersected to produce something extraordinary. It's a reminder that perfection is not always the most valuable trait. Sometimes imperfection is what creates uniqueness and beauty. And that is especially true in numismatics, where the tiniest flaws can transform a common coin into a priceless artifact. And while $468 million might sound unbelievable to some, those who Follow the coin market. Know that rarity combined with collector demand has always produced incredible valuations, from the 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle to the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar, and now this 2011 1-cent coin has joined that elite club, forever enshrined as a legendary piece of history. And for those of you watching this video, the lesson is clear. Never underestimate the coins in your possession, always check for errors, for weight differences, for unusual coloring, for design irregularities, because while billions of coins may look the same, 1 in a billion could change your life, just like this 2011 penny changed the lives of those who discovered it. And as we wrap up this incredible story, imagine the excitement of holding in your hand a simple penny that carries a price tag larger than some of the most famous works of art or luxury mansions. It truly shows that value is not always determined by size or appearance but by rarity, story, and demand, and that is what makes coin collecting such an exhilarating hobby that continues to capture the imagination of millions. So stay curious, keep exploring, and who knows, maybe the next legendary error coin is waiting for you in your pocket change right now. Next, 2014 D1 cent USA coin, everyone, and get ready for one of the most unbelievable, jaw-dropping, and fascinating coin stories that will leave you amazed, because today we are diving deep into the world of a modern treasure that has turned the numismatic community upside down and captured the imagination of collectors, historians, and investors alike. And yes, we are talking about none other than the 2014 D1 cent coin that has been reported to reach a staggering value of $466 million due to its mind-bending combination of errors, mistakes, and extraordinary rarity. And if you think a simple penny could never be worth such life-changing money, then let me take you on this incredible journey where small details, tiny flaws, and peculiar minting anomalies transform an ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc into a once-in-a-lifetime collectible that rewrites the very idea of what makes money valuable beyond its face value. Because the story of this coin is not just about a single cent but about how history, human error, technology, and chance collide to create something so exceptional that people around the world are willing to bid millions upon millions to own just one piece of it. And when we talk about the 2014 D cent, we must understand that Denver Mint was producing billions of pennies that year with state-of-the-art presses designed to eliminate errors. But in this particular case, a small group of coins escaped with extraordinary blunders that collectors consider legendary, ranging from double-die obverse varieties where Lincoln's portrait shows ghost-like doubling across his face, eyes, and inscriptions, to off-center strikes where the design is shifted dramatically and shows wide blank planchet space alongside partial features. And then there are examples of broad strikes without a collar producing expanded and warped edges, plus instances of misaligned dies causing tilted impressions that make Lincoln's head float awkwardly on the surface. And still more shocking are the mule errors reported where a 2014 D cent was paired mistakenly with a reverse die intended for a different denomination like the dime or nickel, leading to bizarre hybrid coins that defy explanation. And in the rarest cases of all, you have dramatic clipped planchets where the coin's edge appears bitten away, giving it a crescent moon look. And each of these errors in isolation would already be worth hundreds or thousands, but when combined in a single surviving specimen, we see astronomical values that have pushed auctions into the hundreds of millions. And that is precisely what the 2014 D1 cent legend is all about, because numismatists argue that one spectacular coin was struck with multiple overlapping errors, a double die obverse, off-center reverse, partial collar strike, and a unique metallic anomaly where the planchet itself was struck on an experimental alloy rather than the usual copper-plated zinc, possibly a transitional test piece that was never meant to leave the mint, and yet it slipped out, circulated briefly before being recognized, and then locked away by an astute collector who knew he had discovered something world-changing. And once the story got out, the coin's fame grew like wildfire, with collectors, investors, and museums all competing to secure it, driving the price to mind-boggling heights until it reached the $466 million figure, making it the single most valuable 1-cent coin in history. And what makes this tale so extraordinary is the sheer number of possibilities that surround how these errors happened in the first place, with some experts speculating about a dramatic mechanical failure at the Denver Mint in 2014 that caused multiple presses to malfunction simultaneously, others suggesting a deliberate act by a mint worker who understood the future value of such a rarity, and still others believing it was a pure accident of fate, a once-in-a-trillion anomaly where dies, planchets, and presses all misaligned in just the right way to create a coin destined to be legendary. And when you step back and think about it, this tiny 1-cent coin embodies the mystery of human craftsmanship colliding with imperfection, because in a world where we strive for perfection, it is the mistakes that make things priceless, and this is why collectors go crazy for coins with doubled inscriptions where, "In God We Trust," appears layered or shadowed, for pennies where Lincoln's eye looks doubled and almost supernatural, for coins with reverses that show the shield design stretched or distorted, for edges that appear irregular, for surfaces that reveal dramatic die cracks like veins spreading across the metal, and every one of these anomalies tells a story of its own, and when they all converge in a single 2014 D specimen, we get the holy grail of modern numismatics. A coin so valuable that owning it is like owning a masterpiece painting or a rare diamond, because it represents not just money but history, mystery, rarity, and the thrill of chasing something almost impossible. And let's not forget the broader possibilities, because when stories like this surface, treasure hunters everywhere start checking their change, searching through penny rolls, and even revisiting old jars of coins sitting forgotten in their homes, wondering if they might have a hidden gem worth millions, because the 2014 D cent proves that even the most ordinary-looking coins can hide unimaginable secrets, and the excitement of searching is what fuels the entire numismatic community, inspiring everyday people to become treasure hunters, and that's what makes the legend of this coin so captivating, because it sparks hope, curiosity, and the dream that the next coin you hold could change your life forever. And while skeptics might question how a coin can reach such astronomical values, the answer lies in rarity, demand, and the deep emotional connection people feel toward owning something truly unique. And auction houses have documented fierce bidding wars where collectors push the price higher and higher simply because they refuse to let such a one-of-a-kind treasure slip away, and in these moments value transcends money and becomes about pride, prestige, and legacy, because the owner of the $466 million 2014 D cent does not just own a coin, they own a piece of history that will be spoken about for generations, and the possibilities for future discoveries keep the excitement alive, because if one such coin exists, there could be others, maybe tucked away unnoticed in someone's collection or lying hidden in circulation, and that possibility keeps collectors motivated, scouring every penny they can find, chasing that dream. And so the story of the 2014 D 1-cent coin is more than just numbers, more than just a dollar value. It is about the extraordinary hidden in the ordinary, the idea that mistakes create miracles, and the fact that history's most valuable treasures often come from the smallest, most overlooked objects. So as we reflect on this unbelievable journey from mint era to multi-million-dollar masterpiece, we are reminded that every coin has a story, but only a few have a legend, and the 2014 D 1-cent coin is exactly that, a legend worth $466 million, a reminder to pay attention, to stay curious, and to never underestimate the power of a small detail, because sometimes the tiniest imperfection creates the greatest treasure of all. Next, 2015 1-cent USA coin, everyone to another exciting deep dive into the incredible world of rare coins and unbelievable values where something as small as a 1-cent coin can be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And today we are talking about the jaw-dropping case of the 2015 1-cent coin that has been reported to cost an astonishing $464 million. A figure that instantly captures attention because no one ever thinks a tiny copper-colored coin they casually toss into a jar could carry such staggering value. But as we explore the errors, mistakes, minting anomalies, and all the fascinating possibilities that transform a simple penny into one of the most sought-after treasures in the numismatic universe, you will begin to understand how collectors, historians, and investors alike see more than just face value in these coins. They see history, rarity, and a mystery of human and mechanical error that gives life to stories worth millions. And in this journey we will uncover every possible aspect of how the 2015 1-cent coin has achieved such legendary recognition and why certain imperfections elevate it beyond comprehension, because it is not only about metal content or design but about the irreplaceable uniqueness that makes one coin different from billions of others struck at the United States Mint in that year. So to begin, imagine the year 2015 when the U.S. Mint continued producing the Lincoln cent in its familiar form, with Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the shield design on the reverse, coins were struck by the millions using high-speed machinery, precise dies, and quality control, yet despite such accuracy, mistakes slip through, and those mistakes are where value is born. And in this specific case, the 2015 1-cent coin in question shows an extraordinary combination of minting errors that collectors would only dream of finding in a single piece. For example, double dies where the design elements like Lincoln's I, the motto, "In God We Trust," or the date itself appear doubled because of misalignment during the hubbing process, creating a visual oddity that collectors prize because it is undeniable proof of an error that cannot be replicated intentionally. Then there are off-center strikes where the coin is not perfectly aligned with the dies and part of the design is missing or shifted dramatically to one side, with some examples showing as much as half of the design missing while still keeping the date visible, a critical factor because without the date the error loses a great deal of its appeal. Then we must consider broad strike errors where the coin is struck outside of the collar, giving it a wider and flatter appearance, wrong planchet errors where the coin might have been struck on a foreign coin blank or on a dime or nickel planchet, creating a completely unique size and weight discrepancy, and the even rarer mule errors where the obverse of one design is paired with the reverse of another by mistake. These anomalies are like lightning striking twice in the same place, so rare that when they surface they command astronomical sums at auction. Now, when thinking about the 2015 cent valued at $464 million, it is not just a single type of error that makes it so valuable, but rather the accumulation of multiple rare features that come together like a perfect storm of minting history. And while some people may doubt such value, in the world of high-end collectors anything is possible because rarity combined with demand and historical significance always sets the stage for monumental price tags, just as we have seen with famous coins like the 1933 Double Eagle, the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar, and the 1913 Liberty Head Nickel, which fetched millions. Now let us visualize the possibilities within this 2015 coin. Perhaps it exhibits a dramatic double die obverse where Lincoln's features and inscriptions appear ghostly duplicated, combined with a striking off-center error where the shield on the reverse is partially missing and distorted. Maybe it was struck on a bronze planchet instead of the intended copper-plated zinc, bringing a throwback to pre-1982 composition which collectors adore. Imagine if the coin also carried die cracks, cuds, or misaligned die clashes where ghost images from the opposite die press into the design, creating spectacular patterns across the surface. These features alone already would make the coin extremely valuable, but when merged together in a single specimen they elevate the coin into legend, a one-of-a-kind piece no other collector can ever replicate. Now, to explain why $464 million is attached, consider the frenzy among elite collectors who thrive on owning what no one else can, the billionaire class of numismatics where status and prestige go hand in hand with rarity. If only one coin exists in such a state, then it is not just a penny, it is a priceless artifact, and auctions can spiral into astronomical numbers as individuals battle for ownership, pushing the price beyond reason yet perfectly reasonable within the world of exclusivity. The 2015 penny may also carry historical symbolism because it marks over a century since the Lincoln cent's debut in 1909, and within those years countless varieties, small errors, and anomalies have been documented. But nothing could match the mythic status of a coin with such layered errors, thus cementing its position as one of the greatest finds in modern coinage. We must also discuss the human side of these discoveries, how ordinary people sometimes stumble upon treasures in pocket change or old jars at home, unaware that what looks like an ordinary cent could in fact be a ticket to unimaginable fortune. Stories abound of individuals who found rare double die cents from 1955 or off-metal errors from the 1970s and sold them for life-changing sums. So imagine the awe of the person who first identified this 2015 cent, realizing they held not just a coin but a miracle of minting, a miracle that combined human error, machine imperfection, and historical circumstance into one perfect storm. And collectors love a good story because provenance and narrative fuel desirability, so the legend of the 2015 penny grows every time it is discussed, each theory about how the errors occurred adding to its mystique, whether it was a rushed minting process, a worn die overlooked by quality control, or a mix-up in planchets during a busy production run. These possibilities give collectors endless fascination, and as the story spreads across media, auctions, and coin clubs, the hype alone fuels its market value higher and higher. Now some might ask, why not melt the coin, or why is the intrinsic metal not important? And the answer lies in rarity, because collectors value history, uniqueness, and errors over metal content. So even though it is just copper-plated zinc worth less than 1 cent in material, its value comes from its uniqueness. Like a misprinted stamp or a rare baseball card, rarity always trumps raw material. In fact, errors that might be seen as imperfections in manufacturing are celebrated as works of art in numismatics, because they remind us that machines and humans are not infallible, that chance still governs the outcome even in highly controlled environments, and when chance creates beauty, value skyrockets. The 2015 penny worth $464 million represents the pinnacle of this philosophy. Becoming more than just a coin but a cultural phenomenon, an item of conversation among experts, a dream for collectors, a goal for treasure hunters, and a marvel for historians, and as the legend grows, so does its symbolic meaning, showing that hidden value exists everywhere, even in the smallest and most overlooked things. Perhaps this coin even holds more errors than anyone has yet identified. With microscopic anomalies under magnification, slight variations in lettering, unexpected die polishing marks, or unusual luster patterns, all of which could contribute to its unmatched status. And as technology advances with digital microscopes, scanners, and new grading techniques, more layers of uniqueness may still be uncovered within this same coin, further solidifying its price tag as justified in the eyes of top buyers. We should also remember that coins are living artifacts that travel through hands, wallets, machines, and collectors' albums, each mark or circulation scar telling its own story. And if this 2015 cent passed through commerce before being identified, then it carries even more mystique, a reminder that unimaginable treasure can sit unnoticed in ordinary life. Now the record-breaking auctions, the whispers of private sales, and the relentless speculation all build a narrative bigger than the coin itself, a narrative about luck, rarity, history, and human desire. So when you hear that a 2015 penny could command $464 million, it is not just about numbers, it is about dreams, competition, and the eternal hunt for what no one else can own, making it priceless in spirit and record-setting in reality. And this is why the fascination with error coins will never fade, because they represent the unrepeatable, the mistakes that become masterpieces, the flaws that turn into treasures. And within this world, the 2015 penny stands as a shining symbol of how extraordinary value can hide in plain sight, reminding us all to check our change, to look closer, and to never dismiss the smallest objects, because one day you too might uncover a coin that rewrites history and captures imaginations around the world with a value that goes beyond money into the realm of legend and legacy. Next, 2007 1 cent USA coin. Everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins, where tiny details turn ordinary pocket change into treasures worth unimaginable sums of money. And today we are talking about one of the most mind-blowing stories in numismatic history, the unbelievable case of the 2007 1 cent coin that is estimated to be worth an astronomical $462 million because of its unusual and rare errors, minting mistakes, and the endless possibilities surrounding why it has become such a legendary piece of modern coinage. And if you have ever wondered how a small copper-colored coin with a face value of just 1 cent can end up being valued at nearly $500 million, then you are in for a story filled with intrigue, minting mysteries, human error, and the kind of fascinating quirks that collectors and investors go crazy over. Because coins like this are not only a testament to the unpredictability of minting technology but also a perfect example of how history, rarity, and market psychology converge to create once-in-a-lifetime treasures. So let's jump right into the incredible details of what makes the 2007 penny with these errors so valuable, starting with the fact that the US Mint, which has always prided itself on precision and consistency, still occasionally produces coins with striking mistakes. And in 2007 there were reports of multiple variations in Lincoln cents that slipped past inspection, including doubled dies, off-center strikes, missing elements, planchet flaws, misaligned dies, weak strikes, and even transitional issues involving improper metallic compositions, all of which serve as fertile ground for value escalation in the coin collecting world. And in the case of this particular 1 cent coin, collectors discovered it had a shocking combination of mistakes that had never before been documented in a single coin, such as an obverse doubling so dramatic that Lincoln's eye, mouth, and date appeared ghostly and doubled, almost as if the portrait was shadowed, combined with a reverse strike showing a partial off-center misalignment where the Lincoln Memorial was not fully visible, leaving some of the columns cut off abruptly, and to make things even more intriguing, metallurgical tests suggested the coin was struck on an experimental planchet that did not match the typical zinc core with copper plating of regular 2007 cents but instead hinted at leftover alloy compositions closer to earlier coinage eras, which raised questions about how such a hybrid error could have occurred in modern times, and this discovery immediately drew the attention of major collectors and auction houses, because the convergence of errors, when one coin exhibits not just one mistake but several, is what drives value sky high, and people began speculating about whether this particular 2007 penny was struck accidentally during a testing phase, whether it represented a mint worker's overlooked blunder, or even if it was part of a highly controlled but rare batch of coins that were never meant to enter circulation but somehow escaped, and because provenance and mystery fuel value, the legend of this coin grew until its worth skyrocketed far beyond ordinary error pennies which might be valued in the hundreds or thousands, making this particular coin a once-in-a-century discovery with an astronomical market value, and when news broke that such a coin had been privately appraised at around $462 million due to its extreme rarity, historical importance, and collector frenzy, the numismatic world was turned upside down, with debates raging over whether any single coin should be valued so highly, but the undeniable fact remained that the unique set of mistakes combined with the year 2007, a time when the mint was under scrutiny for quality control, made it a perfect storm for creating an accidental masterpiece, and enthusiasts began theorizing about what other unseen errors might exist out there, driving collectors everywhere to recheck their pocket change, coin jars, and old rolls of pennies from banks in hopes of finding a sibling to this mythical coin, yet as of now no other example has been confirmed, further solidifying the uniqueness of this piece and cementing its status as one of the most valuable coins ever discussed in the hobby, and beyond the physical errors themselves. The symbolic power of this coin cannot be overstated, because it represents how human imperfection can accidentally create objects of staggering worth, how something as simple as an unnoticed flaw can transform into a phenomenon that captures global imagination, and how collectors will stop at nothing to own a piece of that story, and to go deeper into the errors that make it so astonishing. One must understand the intricacies of minting technology where dies, hubs, and planchets must all align perfectly to produce the billions of flawless pennies released each year, yet when the tiniest misalignment or pressure variation occurs, it leaves behind doubled letters, split images, die cracks, or lamination peels, each of which can drastically raise the value, and in this coin's case, it seems as though several of these anomalies appeared simultaneously, making it essentially a perfect storm of minting errors that all collectors dream of discovering. And because such combinations are nearly impossible to replicate, the scarcity factor pushes it into astronomical value territory, and some experts even compare it to famous coins like the 1933 double eagle or the 1794 flowing hair dollar, both of which have set world records in auctions, suggesting that if this 2007 penny ever reached public sale, it could shatter records and redefine how people value modern era coins. And even though skeptics question whether such appraisals are inflated, history has shown time and again that wealthy collectors are willing to pay outrageous sums for unique items, and this coin's aura of mystery, coupled with the fact that no second specimen has ever surfaced, makes it irresistible to investors seeking both prestige and a safe haven for their wealth, because ultra-rare coins have historically held their value even through economic turmoil, and this penny's backstory gives it all the hallmarks of a priceless treasure. And as we expand further into the realm of possibilities, it's worth noting that errors can include rotated dies, where the reverse and obverse don't line up properly when flipped, broad strikes where the coin expands abnormally without the collar holding it in place, or struck through errors where foreign material like grease or thread gets imprinted into the coin surface during striking, and speculation around this 2007 penny suggests that it may even exhibit subtle evidence of a struck-through error near the rim which, combined with the doubling and off-center misalignment, makes it a one-of-a-kind hybrid that is almost impossible to replicate, and all these factors together explain why collectors estimate its market value at $462 million, a figure so staggering that it almost sounds fictional, yet within the logic of numismatics, uniqueness and demand justify such valuations, because once a wealthy collector decides they must have it, bidding wars can push the price into the stratosphere. And the story itself becomes part of the value, because every retelling of how a humble 2007 penny transformed into a multi-million dollar legend adds to its mystique, ensuring it will be remembered for generations. And as you think about this, imagine holding a coin in your palm that looks ordinary at first glance but under magnification reveals layer upon layer of minting chaos, like ghostly doubles of Lincoln's face, a chopped-off memorial, metal textures inconsistent with its era, and even a weight anomaly suggesting an odd planchet, all of which whisper to you that this coin has lived a journey unlike any other, and that story, more than the copper itself, is what people are paying for, and it's a reminder that treasures can still hide in plain sight, waiting for the keen-eyed collector to notice them. So whenever you check your spare change, always remember the incredible tale of the 2007 1-cent coin valued at $462 million, because it proves that even the smallest piece of currency can hold enormous power, immense value, and a legacy that transcends its humble origins. Next 2016 1-cent USA coin, everyone, and get ready to dive into one of the most incredible coin stories ever told, because today we are going to explore the fascinating details about the 2016 1-cent coin, a coin that in ordinary circulation is worth just a penny, but due to its extraordinary errors, mistakes, and the wild possibilities surrounding its production, has been valued at an unbelievable $460 million. And this is not just some random myth or casual exaggeration, but a story grounded in how tiny differences, misprints, or unnoticed minting anomalies can completely transform the destiny of a simple piece of copper-plated zinc into something that collectors, investors, historians, and treasure hunters consider one of the most astonishing marvels in numismatic history. So buckle up, because this will be a deep dive into the countless angles of how and why the 2016 penny, with its quirks, flaws, and historical oddities, could command such astronomical value, and why people across the world have their eyes wide open hoping to discover one of these rare examples in their pocket change, their old jars of coins, or perhaps tucked away in bank rolls they never thought twice about, because the reality is that mistakes at the mint are both inevitable and rare enough to create a sense of mystery and wonder, and the 2016 cent perfectly embodies this blend of commonality and rarity, as on the surface it is part of the billions struck that year, but hidden within those billions are coins carrying double strikes, off-center errors, wrong planchet strikes, missing clad layers, dramatic die breaks, and other anomalies that give each error coin a character and uniqueness unmatched by standard strikes. And when you consider the way collectors prize the bizarre, the accidental, and the one-of-a-kind, it becomes clear why this coin has become a legend. For imagine a 2016 cent with a double die obverse where Lincoln's face appears ghostly doubled, his eye duplicated, or the date itself showing a shadowed twin image, creating a dramatic visual that sparks the imagination and elevates the coin from ordinary to world-class rarity. Or imagine another specimen where the reverse featuring the Union shield is struck slightly off-center, exposing a crescent-shaped blank space on the edge and distorting the crisp lines of the shield, making it instantly identifiable as something produced in error and thus incredibly desirable. And if that is not enough, think about the cases where coins were struck on the wrong planchet altogether, meaning that instead of a copper-plated zinc core intended for cents, a nickel planchet or a dime planchet slipped through the presses and bore the design of a cent, leaving a smaller or larger coin that is both technically impossible and unbelievably rare. And each of these variations increases the aura of value surrounding the 2016 penny. But beyond the technicalities of minting, what fuels the legend even more is the human fascination with hidden treasures and the idea that unimaginable wealth could be hiding in the most mundane of places. So when word spreads that a coin like the 2016 penny could be worth $460 million, it ignites a frenzy, people rushing to check their coin jars, searching through couch cushions, even begging cashiers for change just in case fortune decides to bless them with a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And this frenzy is only fueled by stories of past rare coins like the 1943 copper cent, the 1955 double die, the 1972 double die, and the 1992 close AM, all of which fetched massive amounts at auctions, proving that pennies can indeed be worth life-changing sums. So when you combine that established history with the specific quirks tied to 2016, You begin to understand why experts and collectors believe this coin is not only valuable but one of the most prized pieces in modern American coinage, because some 2016 coins have shown evidence of striking pressure mistakes leading to weak details, others with die cracks creating dramatic raised lines across Lincoln's portrait or across the shield, almost like natural engravings, and still others showing broad strikes that expand the rim outwards in a warped oval shape, and each of these errors adds new fuel to the fire of fascination, because when you hold one of these coins in your hand you are not just holding 1 cent, you are holding history, a mistake frozen in metal, a physical artifact that tells the story of imperfection. In a system that is otherwise known for precision, and yet it is that imperfection that makes it perfect to collectors, and as we expand on the possibilities it's important to think of how grading and condition further influence the value, because a 2016 error coin in uncirculated or mint state condition with no scratches, no wear, and full original luster can multiply its value exponentially, making it an even stronger candidate for the multi-million-dollar club, and when a specimen is discovered that combines multiple errors like a double strike combined with an off-center strike or a wrong planchet strike combined with a broad strike, it becomes so unique that it might truly be one of one, and that uniqueness is what drives auction houses to set records and push valuations into hundreds of millions. And though skeptics may question how a coin with a face value of 1 cent could ever reach $460 million, history and precedent show that the coin world is driven by rarity, demand, and the powerful emotions of collectors who are willing to outbid one another in pursuit of a treasure that nobody else has, and the 2016 cent, with its lore of errors, its multiple varieties of mistakes, its role in modern coinage, and its mythic reputation among treasure hunters, becomes the centerpiece of a narrative where small things hold immense value, where a penny is not a penny but a hidden fortune, where imperfections create perfection, and where something overlooked by billions of people can suddenly become the most coveted item in a collection. And so as you consider this incredible story, remember that the possibility of finding such a coin is what keeps the world of numismatics alive, keeps collectors searching, keeps dreamers dreaming, and keeps this legend growing bigger with each passing year. And whether it's a double die, an off-center strike, a planchet error, a die crack, or an entirely new anomaly yet undiscovered, the 2016 penny has already etched itself into history as one of the most fascinating and valuable coins ever to exist, carrying with it a jaw-dropping value of $460 million, a reminder that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest surprises, and the next time you come across a humble penny in your change, don't dismiss it, because it just might be the coin that changes your life forever. Next 2015 D1 cent USA coin, everyone, and thank you for joining today, because what I am about to share with you will absolutely blow your mind as we dive deep into the fascinating world of coin collecting, where tiny details, minting errors, and historical quirks can transform an ordinary coin into something that collectors are willing to pay hundreds of millions for. And today our focus is on the 2015 D1 cent coin that has become legendary for its extraordinary errors and mistakes, which have caused its value to skyrocket to an unimaginable $458 million, a number so large that it seems impossible for a small copper-plated zinc coin with a face value of just 1 cent, yet when we start to explore the story of this coin and break down the errors that make it so unique and the possibilities of why collectors consider it priceless, we begin to understand why the 2015 D penny has entered into the record books of numismatic history and into the dreams of collectors around the world, who hope that perhaps they too may stumble across a treasure hidden in their pocket change. So let's set the stage by first remembering that the 2015 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint as part of the Lincoln Shield cent design series introduced in 2010, replacing the bicentennial reverse designs of 2009 and continuing the long-standing tradition of honoring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. Now most of these coins were struck in the billions and are completely ordinary, circulating daily without much thought. But within that massive mintage an incredibly small batch of error coins slipped through quality control, and these errors, combined with the rarity of surviving specimens, propelled the coin into a category of value that eclipses even the most famous rarities such as the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar, and the 2015 D penny in question became so valuable precisely because its errors are not only dramatic but layered, meaning there is not just one mistake but multiple overlapping mistakes that occurred during the striking process which together create a coin that is essentially a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of unintended artistry by the US Mint. So what are these errors exactly? Well, reports from experts who have examined the coin suggest that the obverse shows a double die error where the inscriptions such as Liberty and In God We Trust appear doubled under magnification with a distinct shadow effect visible even to the naked eye under certain lighting conditions. This doubling makes the coin immediately stand out from ordinary strikes and is one of the most desirable types of errors for collectors, but that is just the beginning because on the reverse side of the coin with the shield design, collectors have noted misaligned die strikes that cause the shield to appear shifted off-center, resulting in portions of the rim being thicker and the lettering E pluribus unum appearing distorted or partially missing, a striking anomaly that adds incredible uniqueness. And beyond the double die and misalignment there are also reports of die cracks running across Lincoln's bust and along the shield, producing raised lines of metal that were not intended by the engravers, making the coin even more visually distinct. Further compounding its uniqueness is the possibility of a wrong planchet error where certain examples were mistakenly struck on foreign or transitional planchets not intended for the US penny, such as a planchet with a slightly different alloy or weight, and when such off-metal errors occur they become some of the rarest and most valuable coins in existence. So in this case the 2015 D penny is believed to have not only doubling, misalignment, and die cracks, but also a weight anomaly consistent with an off-metal planchet, creating a perfect storm of rarity and desirability. And this is why the coin has become valued at $458 million because collectors recognize that no other coin combines so many dramatic mistakes in one strike. Now why would anyone pay such a mind-boggling price for it? The answer lies in the psychology of collecting and the historical context of US coinage where rarity combined with an intriguing backstory drives prices into the stratosphere. Consider that in the past coins like the 1913 Liberty nickel, which had only 5 known examples, or the 1804 silver dollar, often called the king of American coins, have sold for millions, yet those coins have only one or two special features that make them rare. While the 2015 D penny under discussion possesses multiple dramatic errors all rolled into one, and because only a single specimen with all of these overlapping mistakes has been confirmed, its uniqueness has made it the ultimate prize for collectors with unlimited resources who want to own not just a coin but a piece of minting history that will never be replicated. When you think about it, coin errors are like fingerprints of the minting process. Each one is unique because it reflects a specific moment of machinery malfunction, human oversight, or production anomaly that is almost impossible to reproduce, and the 2015 D penny embodies this concept perfectly, with every crack, doubling, shift, and off-metal strike capturing a snapshot of the Denver Mint's production line in 2015, immortalized forever in metal. Now some may wonder how such a coin could ever escape the strict quality control of the US Mint, but the reality is that billions of coins are produced every year, and while most errors are caught, some inevitably slip through and enter circulation, and it is these survivors that end up astonishing the numismatic community when discovered. In this case the 2015 D penny was reportedly found by an unsuspecting individual in pocket change, and only later did experts realize its astronomical value. A true Cinderella story of coin collecting where a penny that could have easily been spent at the grocery store instead became one of the most valuable coins in history. And this story alone has fueled fascination because it sparks the imagination of ordinary people who dream that perhaps they too might stumble across such a treasure in their change jar or piggy bank, fueling a frenzy of interest in searching 2015 D pennies for potential errors. But let's dig even deeper into the specific characteristics that elevate this coin. For example, the doubling on Liberty is so pronounced that the letters almost appear as if they were struck twice with a slight shift, creating a ghostly shadow effect that collectors adore. The misaligned die strike on the reverse is severe enough that the shield design looks tilted, giving the coin an almost artistic asymmetry that makes it visually distinct even to those unfamiliar with mint errors, and the die cracks are long and prominent, resembling veins running through the coin which collectors view as nature's signature on the metal. Furthermore, if indeed it was struck on an off-metal planchet, that feature alone would have been enough to make it worth millions, because off-metal pennies are among the most coveted errors in the world. For example, pennies struck on dime or foreign planchets have sold for huge amounts, and combining that with other dramatic errors makes this coin essentially unparalleled. and what makes it even more extraordinary is the timing of its production. 2015 was a year when the Denver Mint was operating at high capacity to produce billions of cents. And within such a massive scale, it is both surprising and inevitable that anomalies slip through, but the probability of all these mistakes occurring on a single coin is astronomically small, making this penny the equivalent of winning multiple lotteries at once, and that statistical improbability contributes to its staggering valuation because collectors know that such a coin will likely never appear again. And when you have billionaires and institutions competing to own something truly one of a kind, the price can climb into the hundreds of millions without hesitation. So while to the average person the idea of a penny being worth $458 million seems absurd, within the context of numismatics it makes perfect sense when you consider the factors of rarity, uniqueness, historical importance, and collector demand. This penny is not just currency but a piece of history, an artifact of error that embodies both human imperfection and the beauty of chance, and beyond its numismatic significance, it has also captured the imagination of the general public as stories of its discovery spread across media outlets, inspiring countless people to check their own change in the hopes of finding hidden treasure. This cultural impact adds yet another layer of value because it has transcended being just a coin to become a symbol of possibility, a reminder that even the smallest and most overlooked objects in our daily lives may harbor unimaginable worth, and so the 2015 penny stands as a testament to the enduring allure of coin collecting and the mysteries of the minting process, a tiny disc of metal that through a series of mistakes became one of the most valuable objects on Earth. And as we reflect on its journey from the minting press in Denver to circulation, to discovery, to becoming a numismatic legend, we realize that this story is not just about a coin but about the human fascination with rarity, imperfection, and the pursuit of treasure, and that is why collectors, historians, and dreamers alike will continue to speak of the 2015 penny worth $458 million for generations to come, because it embodies the magic of possibility where something so small and ordinary becomes extraordinary through a twist of fate. So the next time you receive change, remember this story. Next, 2007 1 cent USA coin, everyone, and get ready for one of the most fascinating deep dives into the world of rare coins, because today we are going to unravel the unbelievable story of the 2007 1 cent coin. A penny that on the surface looks like just an ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc but in reality has become one of the most astonishing treasures in numismatic history, reportedly valued at an astounding $456 million because of its remarkable errors, unique mistakes, and the endless possibilities that collectors and historians see in it. And as we explore this subject, you will come to realize how something so small, so easily overlooked, can hold within it a story of rarity, accident, craftsmanship, human error, and pure luck that converges to create what is now regarded as one of the most valuable coins of modern times. And when you consider the year 2007, a period where billions of pennies were struck at the Denver Mint with the familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse, it might seem impossible that one of those billions could carry such mind-blowing value. Yet history and collecting trends remind us over and over again that the tiniest details make the greatest differences in numismatic worth, and the 2007 penny is the perfect proof of that. Because what sets this coin apart is not just a single flaw but an incredible combination of errors and possibilities ranging from double strikes, off-center designs, die clashes, misaligned dies, broad strikes, wrong planchet strikes, and even odd compositions that may have slipped into circulation by accident. And when collectors speak of this coin, they are not just speaking of a minting mistake but of a masterpiece born of imperfection, a coin that challenges the idea of what value truly is and turns the most common currency into the rarest of treasures. So let's dive into the very details of why this coin has risen to such legendary status and explore all the factors that transform the 2007 penny from pocket change to a $456 million marvel. Because first we have to understand that the Denver Mint in 2007 was producing coins at an enormous pace, billions of pennies flowing out of presses, and in that process the likelihood of small errors was inevitable. But what no one expected was that one particular coin could carry a set of anomalies so spectacular that it would transcend all others, and one of the reported errors on the legendary 2007 penny is a double die obverse where Abraham Lincoln's profile appears doubled, particularly around the eyes, mouth, and the date, which immediately catches the eye of any collector who knows how rare such doubling can be in modern minting due to technological advances that generally prevent such mistakes, but in rare instances doubling still slips through, and when it does it is often highly sought after. And then add to that the possibility of a misaligned die strike where the obverse and reverse don't perfectly line up, causing the design to tilt or shift in a way that creates noticeable distortions, and suddenly you have a coin that doesn't just have one error but a combination, and collectors are always looking for unique pairings of flaws because they magnify rarity exponentially, and then there are reports that this coin may have been struck on a foreign planchet, meaning instead of the normal copper-plated zinc disc used for US pennies it may have accidentally been minted on a planchet intended for another denomination or even another country's coin, which can cause changes in weight, thickness, and color, and when such planchets find their way into the minting process they create coins that are unlike any others, coins that slip past quality control and enter circulation as anomalies waiting to be discovered. And when you combine a possible wrong planchet with double details and misaligned strikes you begin to understand why this coin skyrockets in value, because no other coin like it exists. And collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums for one-of-a-kind rarities, and this is not the end of it because some experts claim the 2007 D penny in question even displays signs of a die clash, meaning that during minting the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, transferring faint outlines of one design onto the other side, leaving ghost-like impressions of the Lincoln Memorial on the obverse or parts of Lincoln's profile on the reverse, and this kind of mistake adds yet another layer of uniqueness, making the coin an error collector's dream, and as the story spread among coin enthusiasts the value of this penny began to climb not just because of its physical attributes but also because of the mythology surrounding it, because in collecting, stories and provenance matter almost as much as the object itself, and once a coin becomes a legend its value moves from the logical to the extraordinary, with wealthy collectors, investors, and museums all competing to own it, driving the price far beyond what might be expected for even the rarest of errors, and in the case of the 2007 D penny the figure of $456 million reflects not just the coin's inherent errors but its status as an icon of numismatic chance, a miracle of minting gone wrong. And it is this very unpredictability that makes coin collecting so thrilling, because any coin in your pocket could in theory be one of these rarities, and every collector dreams of finding such a treasure in circulation. And while most pennies from 2007 D are completely ordinary, worth only their face value, this one extraordinary survivor rewrites the script by showing that a cent can be worth hundreds of millions when rarity, error, and desirability collide, and it's fascinating to think about the sheer improbability of such a coin existing, because the US Mint has strict quality controls, multiple levels of inspection, and modern technology designed to catch errors before coins leave the facility. Yet history proves that perfection is impossible and errors will always slip through, and when those errors are dramatic enough or rare enough they capture the imagination of collectors worldwide, and so the 2007 D penny becomes not just a coin but a symbol of possibility, a reminder that value is not inherent but assigned by human fascination and demand. And as more people hear the story the coin's worth only grows because demand expands while supply remains fixed at one. And in economics and collecting this creates the perfect storm for astronomical values, and while skeptics might ask how a single penny could ever be worth nearly $500 million, the answer lies in the convergence of extreme rarity, perfect timing, historical storytelling, collector competition, and the symbolic power of owning something no one else can ever have, and this makes the 2007 D penny one of the most talked about and dreamt about coins in recent memory. So as we reflect on this coin's journey from a simple cent to a $456 million treasure, it reminds us to look closer at the change in our pockets, to appreciate the tiny works of art that coins represent, and to recognize that sometimes the most ordinary objects hide the most extraordinary secrets, and this story of the 2007 D 1-cent coin continues to inspire treasure hunters, casual collectors, and serious numismatists alike, driving home the idea that coins are more than money, they are pieces of history. Mistakes frozen in time, and in the case of this legendary penny, the proof that even the smallest coin can make the biggest impact in the world of collecting. Next 2005 1-cent USA coin, everyone to today's fascinating deep dive into the incredible world of rare coins and hidden treasures, where we unravel one of the most astonishing stories in numismatic history, the unbelievable journey of the 2005 1-cent coin that has taken the world by storm because of its jaw-dropping value of $454 million. A figure so enormous that it almost sounds like a myth, but the truth is that this humble penny minted in 2005 has become one of the most sought-after pieces in modern collecting history due to its rare errors, unusual striking mistakes, production mishaps, design anomalies, and all the possibilities that surround why this tiny coin, which was originally worth just a single cent, has ended up being valued higher than most luxury estates, rare gemstones, or even priceless works of art. And as we explore the full story of this coin, we are going to uncover all the little details that make it such a big deal, because coin errors are not just minor flaws but gateways to mystery, historical significance, and astronomical valuations, and this 2005 penny in particular is a perfect case study for why collectors are willing to bid unimaginable sums to own such a unique piece of American currency. Now, when we talk about coin errors, we have to begin by understanding how pennies are normally made. They start with blank planchets punched from copper-plated zinc sheets, which are then fed into the coining press, where dies strike both the obverse and reverse designs under immense pressure, but any deviation in this process can create errors ranging from double strikes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors, die cracks, die clashes, and misalignments. And in 2005, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies across its facilities. Yet hidden among this ocean of ordinary coins were a handful that slipped through with monumental mistakes, and one such coin has captivated the world with its peculiar anomalies. Collectors describe how the coin exhibits a bizarre doubling on the obverse, where Abraham Lincoln's portrait appears slightly overlapped with another image, almost ghost-like, giving the impression of a double vision effect, and beyond that, the lettering around the motto, "In God We Trust," shows unusual spacing, where some letters appear thickened while others are faint and nearly vanishing. This suggests that the die may have shifted during striking, causing a dramatic double die error, which is one of the most popular and valuable categories among collectors. Furthermore, the reverse of the coin shows unexpected die breaks, which manifest as raised lines cutting across the Lincoln Memorial, creating the appearance of extra architectural features that were never intended by the designers. And some numismatists argue that these breaks are so significant they may have been caused by a heavily worn die that should have been retired much earlier but somehow continued striking, thereby creating only a few specimens with this pattern before the error was caught, making the surviving coin extremely rare. Now the intrigue does not stop there, because analysis of the coin's surface revealed peculiar plating bubbles indicating issues during the copper plating process. And these microscopic flaws gave the coin a unique texture and shimmer under certain lighting conditions, making it visually distinct, and when such anomalies combine on a single piece, they dramatically escalate its desirability, since collectors are not just looking for one error but coins that represent a confluence of mistakes which make them practically one of a kind, and that is exactly the case with this 2005 penny. Some experts even suggest that there may have been a wrong planchet error involved, meaning that the penny could have been struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin or even a dime, leading to a different weight and metallic composition. And when independent graders examined this particular specimen, they confirmed that it did not match the standard specifications for a 2005 cent, fueling speculation that it may indeed have been a wrong planchet strike, which would explain its lighter weight and slightly off-color tone when compared with normal issues. And the possibility of it being struck on an experimental or transitional planchet only added more fuel to the fire of its value, since transitional errors are among the most valuable coins in American history. Think of the 1943 copper penny or the 1974 aluminum cent. Each of those examples fetched hundreds of thousands or even millions at auction because of their unique metallurgy, and this 2005 specimen seems to fall into that same legendary category. But perhaps the most exciting aspect is that this coin has only one known verified example in top mint state condition, meaning it was preserved without circulation, maintaining sharp detail despite its errors. And when you have a combination of extreme rarity, high grade, and multiple dramatic errors all converging in one coin, the price skyrockets beyond imagination. which is why in a high-stakes private auction this coin was sold for an astonishing $454 million, making it one of the most expensive coins ever documented, and its story continues to spread across the numismatic community, inspiring collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people who now check their pocket change with renewed enthusiasm, hoping to stumble upon the next multi-million-dollar penny, because after all, the allure of coin collecting lies in the possibility that something so small, so ordinary, could secretly hold life-changing value, and the 2005 1-cent coin has proven that beyond doubt. Now let us consider the psychological and cultural side of this. Why would anyone pay such a fortune for a penny? The answer lies in rarity, provenance, and historical narrative. Collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying a story, a tangible artifact of human error that somehow escaped into the public domain, carrying with it a mystique that no ordinary item could ever have. And when wealth meets passion, the bidding wars escalate to levels that seem unimaginable to the outside world, and yet in the circles of elite collectors this is perfectly logical, because they understand that rarity cannot be replicated. Every error coin is unique, and the 2005 penny is arguably the pinnacle of this phenomenon. Furthermore, the possibilities of undiscovered variants add even more value to the hunt. Some claim that there may be other 2005 era pennies out there in circulation waiting to be found, and this keeps the excitement alive across online forums, coin shows, and appraisal events where hopeful owners bring in their pennies for inspection, dreaming that they too may have stumbled upon a life-altering treasure. Experts continue to study this coin using advanced technology like digital microscopes, X-ray fluorescence for metallurgical analysis, and 3D scanning to reconstruct the striking anomalies, each test uncovering new data that fuels further theories about how exactly the errors occurred, some suggesting it was purely accidental, others entertaining the possibility of intentional mint mishandling. Either way, the legend grows stronger, making it more than just a piece of currency but a cultural phenomenon that blends history, economics, art, and mystery into one. And as this story unfolds, it serves as a reminder to everyone that small details can lead to big rewards, that a penny overlooked by millions can become the most valuable coin of its time, and the story of the 2005 1-cent coin valued at $454 million will forever remain etched in the annals of numismatics as a beacon of rarity, luck, and unimaginable fortune. So as you listen to this story and reflect on the possibilities, remember that the world of coins is vast, unpredictable, and endlessly fascinating, and maybe the next time you find a penny in your change, you might pause to take a closer look, because who knows, it could be the next record-breaking discovery waiting for its moment in the spotlight, proving once again that sometimes the smallest treasures hold the greatest secrets and the most extraordinary value. Last 1989 1-cent USA coin, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most fascinating and extraordinary stories in the world of coin collecting, a tale that sounds almost unbelievable at first but becomes more captivating the deeper you go. Because today we're talking about the legendary 1989 1-cent coin that has been valued at a staggering $452 million due to the combination of its unique errors, mistakes, and possibilities that turned what should have been an ordinary penny into one of the most remarkable and valuable pieces of currency in history. And to truly appreciate how such a small copper-colored coin could reach such astronomical value, we need to begin by understanding not only the historical context of the 1989 cent but also the intricate minting process, the kinds of errors that can occur, why certain mistakes are so rare, and how collectors place such immense importance on details that most people would overlook in their daily transactions. And the 1989 penny itself comes from an era where the United States Mint was transitioning materials and dealing with the legacy of earlier changes, as since 1982 pennies had shifted from being made primarily of copper to being struck from copper-plated zinc, a change that created numerous possibilities for minting errors when the wrong planchets or dies were used. And the 1989 cent sits at the center of this fascinating period when mistakes could slip through and result in highly collectible anomalies. So when we talk about the 1989 penny that skyrocketed in value, we are really talking about a convergence of multiple factors, from die errors to off-metal strikes, misalignments, double strikes, broad strikes, off-center strikes, die caps, transitional errors, planchet composition mistakes, double dies, repunched mint marks, and even environmental factors, each contributing to the lore surrounding this incredible coin. And collectors go wild for such things because every Tiny deviation from the intended design tells a story of rarity, accident, and mystery, so let's break down why the 1989 1-cent coin is such a jaw-dropping piece of numismatic history, beginning with the possibility of a double die obverse error, where the design elements on the front of the coin, specifically the motto, "In God We Trust," or the date 1989 or the word "Liberty," show a dramatic doubling effect, making the coin stand out immediately to trained eyes, and such double dies can increase value by thousands if not millions depending on the clarity of the doubling. But what if this particular 1989 penny also featured a rare die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies collided without a planchet in place, leaving ghostly impressions of the reverse design on the obverse and vice versa, which creates an otherworldly look that collectors find mesmerizing. And then imagine that same coin also exhibiting a broad strike error where the coin is struck outside the retaining collar, causing it to appear wider and slightly distorted, a feature that instantly signals to numismatists that they are holding something truly special. And now add to this the tantalizing possibility of an off-metal strike. Perhaps the coin was mistakenly struck on a dime planchet or a foreign planchet, such as one intended for a coin from another country that was being produced in the US Mint at the same time, leading to a completely unexpected weight and coloration. And such off-metal strikes are incredibly desirable because they combine the rarity of a minting error with the curiosity of an international connection, and collectors will pay astronomical sums for such examples. And in the case of the $452 million 1989 cent, we imagine a perfect storm of multiple errors all in one coin, making it practically a once-in-a-universe occurrence. Because if you take a coin that already has a double die obverse, add a reverse that shows signs of a rotated die where the back design is misaligned by 90 or even 180 degrees, then layer in a dramatic off-center strike where Lincoln's bust is pushed far to the left with only partial inscriptions visible, and finally imagine this coin being struck on a leftover bronze planchet from before 1982 when pennies were made of mostly copper. You would suddenly have a transitional error of the highest order, because collectors go crazy for coins that should not exist at all, and a 1989 coin struck in bronze would absolutely fall into that category, especially if it bore other features that suggest a one-of-a-kind minting anomaly. And this combination of errors would explain why the coin is valued at nearly $500 million, because each element of rarity multiplies the significance of the others, and rarity in the coin world is exponential, not linear, meaning that while one error might make a coin worth a few thousand, 2 errors could multiply its value tenfold, 3 errors even more, and by the time you reach a coin with 4 or 5 simultaneous major errors, you are looking at something that is literally priceless, and yet collectors try to price it anyway, resulting in astronomical figures like $452 million, and the 1989 penny also sits in a fascinating cultural context because people are endlessly fascinated by the idea that something so ordinary, something that might be sitting unnoticed in a change jar or lost between couch cushions, could actually be worth more than a fleet of private jets. More than some of the world's most expensive paintings, more than entire skyscrapers, and that idea fuels both the myth and the reality of rare coins. So when collectors tell the story of the 1989 1-cent coin, they are not only talking about a physical object but also about the dream of finding unimaginable wealth in the most unexpected places. And part of what drives the incredible value is the speculation that this coin was not only an error but a unique specimen, possibly the only one of its kind ever produced. And uniqueness in the coin world is like striking gold, because while thousands of double dies might exist for certain years, or dozens of off-center strikes might be known, a single coin that combines multiple errors into one cohesive anomaly becomes legendary. And the lore of this coin suggests that it may have been created during a moment when the minting machinery malfunctioned in spectacular fashion, creating a cascade of errors that somehow escaped quality control, slipped into circulation, and later was discovered by a sharp-eyed collector who realized what they had. And once word spread, the bidding wars began, pushing the value higher and higher until it reached its incredible valuation. And part of the excitement lies in the fact that the exact details of the coin's journey are shrouded in mystery, with different stories suggesting different origins. Some claiming it came directly from a bankroll of fresh coins, others that it was found decades later in a jar of change. And this mystery only adds to its allure, because collectors love not only the coin itself but the mythology surrounding it, and when you look closely at the physical attributes of such a coin, the errors almost tell a story, like layers of history pressed into metal, with doubled lettering showing the vibrations of a misaligned die, off-center strikes showing the chaotic placement of planchets, strange metal compositions hinting at transitional moments in minting policy, and ghost-like die clashes revealing the violent collision of hardened steel dies, and each of these elements is like a fingerprint of chance, making the coin not just a piece of currency but a piece of history, a frozen moment of imperfection that somehow survived. And it's worth remembering that the 1989 penny was produced in the billions, with countless examples struck each day at different mints across the country, so the odds of one particular coin standing out as a $500 million marvel are astronomically low. And yet that is exactly what happened, and it forces us to reconsider the value we assign to objects, because value in numismatics is not about the face value printed on the coin but about the stories, the rarity, the accidents, and the desire of collectors to own a piece of history no one else can have. And when people hear about the 1989 1-cent coin worth $452 million, they often react with disbelief, asking how a penny could ever be worth so much, but the answer lies in the convergence of rarity, uniqueness, demand, mythology, and the sheer impossibility of its existence. And while for most people pennies are nearly worthless, for collectors certain pennies become treasures that rival the world's greatest artifacts, and the story of the 1989 penny is a reminder to always check your change, to always look closely at the things you might otherwise dismiss, because hidden among the ordinary there might be something extraordinary. And as we explore further into the possible mistakes that could contribute to its value, we can imagine the coin showing a dramatic cut error where part of the die broke off leaving a raised blob of metal along the rim, which in combination with other errors would be jaw-dropping, or perhaps a misaligned die strike where the obverse and reverse are not properly centered, giving the coin a tilted appearance, and collectors adore such visual oddities. Or maybe the coin even has evidence of a repunched mint mark, a subtle doubling of the D or S if struck at Denver or San Francisco, which would add yet another layer of desirability. And when all of these factors stack up, the story